Hello and welcome to the absolute worst week of college football ever to exist. This is the review of it. Let's get right into it. First off, I'll do prediction and then final score. We have Utah at USC. Just an absolutely devastating game. I had USC winning because, I believed that USC would just have the better offense to win the shootout. Well, when fucking Caleb Williams gets injured and can't do shit the rest of the game because he's just limping everywhere, it becomes a little hard to win a shootout. And of course, USC's defense was like, oh my God, our hero's injured, and they shit their pants and absolutely sold. Now, I'm not saying the whole sole reason that USC lost is because Caleb Williams got injured, but that was definitely a major fucking factor. The final score is 47-24. Utah absolutely killed it. I mean, as should have. I just gave it to USC because I was like, USC's got that explosive offense, and as long as it remains no injuries, which of course it fucking didn't, as long as it remains no injuries, USC should be able to take this game no problem. And that is facts. They should have been able to take the game with no issues. But of course, that didn't happen. Caleb Williams got injured. And then all of a sudden, the USC offense just began to suck dick. And I mean, let's be real. Utah barely lost a lot of their games. Utah barely lost to Florida. Last second interception on the goal line. A bad decision by Cameron Rising led to their first loss. And it was at Florida. Very hard place to play. And then Utah lost to UCLA on the road. They kind of got owned in that game. And then they barely lost to Oregon in a game they should have won, but Cameron Rising sucked dick in that game, so they lost. And if we're being real, if Utah doesn't take those L's to Florida and Oregon, they're right there. Honestly, I'd say they're right up in number 2. Maybe not. I mean, Michigan's undefeated, so that'd be fucked. So they're right there at number 3. Utah would definitely be over USC in terms. Even if they didn't play each other, Utah would still be above USC. I mean, it's just, Utah is a very good football team. They did it last year. They took 3 bad losses, and we knew they were a much better football team than their record says. I just thought USC would be able to win the shootout. There's no way of me predicting Caleb Williams is going to get injured and USC's not going to make. I mean, that would have to be just the most blatant guess. I'd have to prepare to guess that. I'd have to be like, all right, for this one, I'm going to say this absolutely absurd scenario and hope I get it right. There's just no way of predicting that. It's just near impossible. So, I mean, Kansas State at TCU. My gut said Kansas State, but I wanted to say TCU, and I believe that TCU could have done something, and TCU should have damn straight won this game. I had TCU winning by more. I just thought that TCU would be more explosive, get more stuff done, but shitty penalties and push-offs led to this team's demise. And ultimately, Kansas State just decided they wanted to show up this time. They win it in overtime to a field goal and a dog shit play call by TCU to not quarterback sneak it, to run it against Kansas State, who is a very good goal line stand team. Not only do you run it once, you run it twice, and you got the same outcome twice. I hope whoever made that play call looks at themselves in the mirror and says, I'm never making that play call again. You have a better chance of throwing it and maybe having Duggan run in and score, or kicking a field goal than you do giving it to your running back and giving the defensive line all that time to break through and cause a stop. Like, if you're going to go for a run on 4th and goal, you QB sneak it. You don't do some fucking run. It's just never going to work. And of course, it didn't. That stuff it hardly works. It's just better to push your quarterback in. And Kansas State basically got the ball at the 30. They just ran it down the field to like the 15 or something, got it centered, kicked the field goal, took the easy game, and the TCU had, whoever made that play call should be should be a very sad human being when he goes home, knowing that he is the fucking cause for TCU's first L. But what I find crazy is that Kansas State won, and they're only ranked at number 11. Utah won, and they're ranked at number 7. I think Kansas State should be ranked way higher, just personally. LSU at Georgia, I was actually surprisingly close about this one. I was a touchdown and a 2-point conversion off of LSU, and I was a point off of Georgia. Nothing much to be said here other than we expected this. Georgia's just them. Again, apparently after losing all those players in the offseason to the transfer portal, or not even to the transfer portal, to the draft, you're just going to get like 50,000 times better players coming in. And then, of course, LSU beats Alabama, so you just get a free SEC championship. And yeah, Georgia's going to be number 1. They're going to probably kick the shit out of Ohio State, and then they're going to kick the shit out of Michigan if Michigan wins, or TCU. UCF at Tulane. Another game I was surprisingly close. I predicted 27-38. I was a point off of UCF and a touchdown off of Tulane. I had a feeling that Tulane was going to be dominant in this game. I had a feeling that they just weren't going to allow UCF to run all over them like they did last time. Not run all over them, but like just walk all over them. Like they just dominated in their last meetup. And Tulane basically in the third quarter, they had a 7-24 lead. That was like the first. Oh no, yeah, that was like the furthest the game got. Got as close as 28-31, and then Tulane just shut it out. Which, I mean, Tulane should get a fine bowl game. They deserve it. What are they now? They're like number 12 now. No, they're number 14, which is fucked up that they placed Florida State in front of them. Like, okay, what the hell? I think they should at least be underneath Washington, but, you know, whatever. Tulane dominated, that's all. Purdue at Michigan, I said don't sleep on Purdue, and I think a lot of people slept on Purdue. Michigan State, hell no. Michigan scored a touchdown with 1:22 left to make it look like more of a domination than it was. Oh, this is my prediction. I was very damn close to Michigan, not very close to Purdue. I was pretty far off of Purdue, 9 points. And yeah, I mean, Purdue put up some competition. I mean, at a time, right? It was 19-28. They could have done something, but then they threw an interception, which just led to an easy touchdown. And then, yeah, they just couldn't put it away. 22-36, they just gave the ball back to Michigan, and there was just no hope. And that was it. I said don't sleep on Purdue. You shouldn't have slept on Purdue. They put up some good competition. You know, everybody thought this was going to be a blowout, and it wasn't. So, yeah. Clemson at North Carolina. I gave North Carolina some hope, and they started off with a 7-0 lead, and then they just fell flat on their face. They just collapsed. I mean, it was just ridiculous, like how bad they played. They scored a touchdown in the first 7 minutes of the game, and then it was a while before any team scored. And then Clemson put 2 touchdowns in, and then a third touchdown in the second quarter. And then North Carolina put up 3, and that was it for North Carolina. They just said, no, we're done. Clemson destroyed them, honestly, as I should have expected. But I gave North Carolina false hope. They just fell on their face at the end of the season. I mean, pull more of an Arizona State, seriously. Like, 2014, we're just a one-loss team, and then we lose to Oregon State, lose to U of A. It's just fall on your face more, guys. Please, just collapse. But, I mean, that's it for the championship week review. Pretty short week. I didn't do any of the... I guess I'll do one game that I found interesting. The Troy Coastal Carolina was pretty impressive by Troy. I mean, they fucking killed them. Of course, Coastal Carolina scored 13 points in the fourth quarter and make it a bit closer, but the final score was 45-26. I mean, Troy killed it. So they deserve some recognition, but of course they only get placed at number 24, even though they have 2 losses. And then Fresno State beat Boise State, so Fresno State's going to find themselves in a nice bowl game. There's a couple other games like Toledo versus Ohio. I don't know about that shit. Buffalo versus how do you pronounce that? Akron. That doesn't look like a bowl game though. Looks like it made Buffalo bowl eligible barely, but UTSA dominated North Texas, which put them on the rankings. Deserved. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the championship week. That's all for me. Oh, you should like and subscribe. That's pretty cool and epic. Comment what you think. I don't know. And that's all for me. Adios.